Brilliant. So we're live. Debbie Love, thank you for joining me this evening to talk to me about all things bridges and this bridge debate that seems to be taking a bit of a storm for us in the UK right now. How you doing?
Just fine, thank you.
Excellent. So I contacted you a couple of days ago and we were talking about potentially setting something up. So again, we're just really grateful that you're taking the time to do that for us. And I know that you've been quite passionate about addressing the bridge debate for a few years now. I remember speaking to you about it, I think at the beginning of 2020 in Paris, and then it made me go away and ask a lot of questions. And, you know, it's been bubbling under the surface since then, really. So I guess over to you in terms of all things bridge.
I'm just so excited to talk to everybody today because I'm excited that you want to do things right and that you want to do the best thing for the athlete, the most safe thing for the athlete. I think that so many times we get wrapped up in competition and winning and accolades and awards and all that, that we forget that we're growing kids. We're developing kids emotionally, physically, mentally, and we got to do it right. Okay. So just to give you some background, many years ago, and I think it was 2003, 2008, I think they came out in the gymnastics world that they did not want any bridging started before the age of 5. The reason for that was because the head is bigger. It's the heaviest part of the body from birth until around 5. And therefore, it would put undue pressure on the lower back because that head is so heavy. That was the main reason. So the gymnasts have recommended for many years that we not start bridging till 5. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was asked to be an expert witness in a court case involving a little girl, not from Lexington, but close here, who had suffered from surfer's myelopathy. Surfer's myelopathy is something that usually happens to surfers as they go out on their board and they arch when they're first starting. They really shouldn't be arching in their lower back. They should be stretching through their upper back, but they don't. And we'll get into that in a minute. And so we don't know who may be in this group. We don't know any reasoning why it happens or who is vulnerable to it or anything. But what happens is when you arch too much, you constrict the blood vessels leading to the legs and the legs become paralyzed. It can become permanent or it can be a temporary thing, but it takes a while, even if it's temporary, to get rid of it. So in the middle of this case, I was doing a lot of research. And my research led me to something I really already knew, but just had not been practicing. And that is the way our bodies are arranged. The upper cervical vertebra, which we don't use to arch at all. We don't need to worry about those, but the thoracic vertebra, the ones right underneath, have a combined mobility of 70 to 80%. So they can move a lot. The lower lumbar vertebra underneath the thoracic and our lower back only have a 12 to 14% mobility. Okay. Yeah. Now that's total for the 5 discs there. So this led me to trying to understand what's happening. And, you know, we talk about engaging your core, squeezing your belly. We tell them all kinds of things. But what we're not doing is we're not practicing proper posture. We need to maintain proper alignment of our body so that our body can talk to each other completely, the nerves, the blood vessels, and everything. And so that everything is more effortless. Okay. What happens when we arch, and I'm going to use my little Vicky doll here. When we arch in the middle of our back here, the legs become super heavy. They are usually, for a lot of us, the legs are the heaviest part of our body. So if we're not extremely strong, and even then it's not good for you, our legs are going to bend. That's why in back handsprings, when people do back handsprings that arch in the middle of their back, people ask, why can't she straighten her legs? Because she's not doing it right. And there's no cure for that except go back and do it over, you know.
Mm.
So I want to talk about the front walkover, the back walkover, and the back handspring today, and go through it step by step so you understand exactly as they should be done. Okay. We should not be bending in our lower back at all. I went to my hip doctor today. I have two fake hips because I have arthritis really bad. And my COVID experience last year just made me have to go out. I went out of remission, and I'm now on my rheumatoid arthritis medicine again, which is not fun, but it's okay. I'm just glad to be alive. But meanwhile, they took an x-ray today, and they could see my back in the x-ray. And he said, your back has terrible arthritis. Does it hurt? I said, no. And it doesn't hurt me at all. And he said, that's surprising. What do you do? So I told him, I said, I do a set of exercises every single day. And I'm going to add some more stretches to it and some more band work. He said, you know, that's what's keeping you. It's the strength that's keeping your back from hurting you. Okay. So we have to strengthen that lower back. It is a stable joint. It does not bend. It might stretch a slight bit, but it doesn't bend. It should not bend. All of the extension and flexibility should be in the upper back. And it should always be done with your arms by your ears, never the head leading. As soon as your head goes, your lower back goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So alignment is what we're talking about now. My dog is jumping up. Go, or I have to lock you out. Anyway, she's a golden doodle.
That's right. I've got 3 outside that would be desperate to get in if the dog was on the screen.
So anyway, postural alignment is the most important thing that we need to be doing. So what I want to do is start with the back walkover because it's the most logical skill. So we want to start with a completely extended straight body. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, what I mean extended, that means everything's engaged. Engaged means my tongue, I put my tongue behind my upper teeth to the upper part of my mouth, the roof of my mouth, and now locks in my head and neck so that it's not going backwards or forwards. My arms are locked right beside my ears. Okay. My upper body, my shoulder blades are pulled back to where there's no more than 5 to 10 centimeters apart from my shoulder blades. This is separating them. And that's unfortunately, ours are a lot more than that most of the time. Then we want to pull our belly button to our back and squeeze our bottom. That's engaging our core. And you have to do both of those. It's not just pull your belly button in. Yeah. Pull your belly button in and squeeze your bottom to lock in that core. Then we want to squeeze the muscles that pull our legs together, the thigh muscles that pull our legs together, the adductor muscles together. When we do that, then we're in proper alignment. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now we have to maintain that proper alignment. The only thing that's going to happen at any time is a slight stretch through the upper back, just like this, not like this. Okay. Yeah. So she's going to stretch through her upper back. If I was to stand next to a wall and squeeze my shoulder blades together as I reach back and touch the wall, that's a good exercise for it. Okay. Yeah. And that's really all you need. When you do it upside down in a handstand, about 12 to 18 inches away from the wall, and you squeeze your shoulder blades together, your feet will touch the wall, and that's all. And then you can come back to the handstand. That's called a memory handstand. And that is what you do in the middle of your front and your back walkovers. Yeah. If you do it with your legs split and you go, a good distance away from the wall, which is what you want to work into, and you squeeze the shoulder blades together, and your front leg almost goes down to the ground, then you've done the front walkover.
Yes.
Okay. So that's how we train it. So we want to train levers. So you make sure that they're in that nice, long, 45-degree angle lunge. Okay. And the way we attain that, for purposes, if you don't remember, is to take 4 of our feet. So toe to heel, take 4 steps. And that's how far your legs should be apart in the lunge.
Okay.
That's also how far apart your hands will be once they touch the ground for a front walkover. Okay. Or anything. Front walkover, front handspring, round off, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So remember that that's all levering action. Okay.
Yeah.
So now for the back walkover, we're going to stand. We're going to have the back leg straight. My Vicky Daw is quite interesting. This other good foot is going to point forwards. It doesn't even have to touch the ground. There is absolutely no weight on it. You're in total postural alignment from your tip of your fingers to your support leg to the bottom foot. Okay. So what we do first is we lever back just like this. That's our first skill. Then we're going to stretch in the upper back only. So we literally look like this at the beginning of the skill, and you're looking up. People ask me shouldn't they look at their hands? No, you do not need to look at your hands.
Yeah.
That takes you out of alignment. You need to be looking where you're going, which is in the distance. It's not down at your feet. Okay. So the next thing she does is she stretches through her upper back. You see, this is still flat right here.
That's right. Yeah.
And this leg is all the way up. Okay. And then she goes back to the handstand with the split legs, and we lever into that same lunge coming out.
Because when we lever like that, we get the extension in the shoulders and the thoracic part of our spine, and which then takes the pressure off the lumbar part of the spine.
Exactly. So you literally lever back looking at the ceiling until you lever. Then you stretch with your arms and your head bending and squeezing your shoulder blades together. As you go up into the handstand portion. You're in a nice handstand with your legs split, and then you lever back out on the other side.
Would you say as well then, I mean, this is my personal experience, but would you say that because of that engagement right the way through the body, the athlete is less likely to collapse under the pressure of their own body? They can hold themselves down. Yeah.
They won't, because they'll be on top of their arms.
Yeah. And then they've got the alignment when they're upside down too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Says my hand is raised. I need to lower it. Okay. So that's for the back walkover. The front walkover is just opposite. You go into the nice clean handstand with the legs split, and then you do a memory handstand here. This stays flat. This stays flat. She only bends through here, and then she stands up. And I like to try to have them stand up and actually hold this leg up, which is really hard. But most of the time, the reason why they go into the RT thing is because they're not strong enough to do the skill. So our core, our trunk, our hamstrings, our glutes, and our core need to be very, very toned, very conditioned. And we may think we do enough, but we don't. In a very inflexible person, they can still do this. They end up bending the support leg just a little bit.
Yeah.
A very inflexible person, but it's still, I've got one video of a girl doing it who's totally inflexible, and she still does it perfectly. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's slow, it's controlled. You can synchronize them easily because, you have the lever, then you have the handstand, and then you have the lever out.
Yeah.
So synchronization is really easy. And the way that translates into our back handspring is that when we sit in this athletic stance, we get our arms up, okay, and we start jumping, we literally jump to a lever. Yeah. And then stretch through our upper back and then snap down.
I often find that they end up arching in the lower part of their back because their arms are too slow when they enter the back handspring. Yeah.
Yeah. That I do 2 drills for that. You have to understand that the job of the arms is to take the body up and back. Whatever the arms always lift the body wherever it needs to go. And we don't believe that because we don't use our arms. So I had 2 drills I did for that. And I think I had this with me when I was there in 2020. I had just started using it in 2019. So I don't know. The butterfly wings, did I bring those?
I literally shared a video of that on my social media like 2 or 3 days ago. I remember doing it the first time, and I went to a gym and they in Scotland actually, and they had loads of fairy wings from like one of their performances. And I just got them. I was putting these on them kids, and I was making them do their back handsprings.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It helps a whole lot. So that's one of the really good drills for getting the arms to the ears before. Another one that I have them do is like, and they can do it at home or they can do it on stacked mats, is they sit and then they swing until they feel their arms pulling their arm back, and they just back. Yeah. But they have to feel the arms pull them, which they will do.
Yeah.
The arm will lift your body and it will pull it. So
it's like when you see the jump to dish drill done properly, you can see the shape of if they get their arms fast, you can really see the shape before they hit the mat.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You'll see that nice, it's almost like it's a lever, but they usually have that little bit of upper back stretch. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful when done correctly. But for so many years, we've allowed the kids to do things incorrectly. Yeah. And I'm just so excited that England wants to do it right.
Well, when I put it on this will go out onto the group, the Facebook group later, there was lots of like really positive feedback about, looking forward to seeing what was coming out. So, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to start to edit and get it ready. But well, I have got a few of their questions here, and we've sort of you've covered most of them, to be honest. Why is it unsafe? What's the evidence? And you talked about the court case you went to. So in your opinion then, should we be moving away from it entirely? So talking specifically, say, bridges.
Yes, absolutely. There's no reason to do them. I'm going to tell you, even in gymnastics, and they still do them in gymnastics, it's in the routines. They try to teach them right. Some of the kids do it right, some of them don't. But I will say in gymnastics, they usually are dealing with much more flexible kids. So they can get that flexibility in their upper back a lot easier than cheerleaders can, just being honest. But even in skills, like, when they do the Takachev over the high bar, they do the straddle jump over the high bar and then recatch it in gymnastics. If you stretch through your upper back in that skill, you won't catch the bar. It throws you away. If you stretch through your upper back, you'll catch the bar, given that you do everything else right. So that's one important, and you'll notice when the girls go to the bar, from the high bar to the low bar, you'll see them really stretching in the upper back. But if they arch, their feet will drop and they will not be able to kip up to the low bar. So it really, on giants, just going around the bars in giants, if they arch and tap to go over the bar, they're not going to go over the bar. It is a tap through the upper back. Okay. And sometimes I even talk about a tap in cheerleading to get them to understand something. So it goes throughout everything. I don't teach them anymore at all. The only time I'll let them do something would be maybe on a mat that's as high as their hips are. Okay. I'll put their hips and their legs are lying on it, and they literally stretch back. The rest of the body's flat except for their head and shoulders.
Would that be for like athletes who aren't necessarily ready to start levering?
Yes.
Because I've seen some of the other things that you do as well. You do the thumbs up and thumbs down, don't you, when the athletes are laying?
It's for the thoracic area, and that's a really important one. You do it in touchdown, high V, T, and low V.
Yeah, because I found that especially when they're taking their body weight upside down, and if they're up and extended, they're engaging all of that area anyway. So you're strengthening it for the work you're going to be doing later on.
also do like handstands. They have to hold a handstand for a minute at the beginning of practice. A good handstand. And sometimes I have them face the wall and only their nose and toes can touch. They flex their toes. So I want their body in complete alignment. I'm really big on the alignment. And then, of course, they can walk away and start doing the memory handstands. I used to have my kids when they were younger do the handstand, stretch through the upper back, touch the wall, come back. They'd do 20 of them. It made them so strong.
Yeah, we started doing a lot more handstand circuits, even down in our recreational classes. So they aren't cheerleaders. They just do recreational gymnastics once a week, alongside plyometric work. We do a lot of handstand work instead of it replaced the other things that we used to do that we sort of phased out. And it does. I mean, for obvious reasons, doing handstands like that make a massive difference. And actually, we found it improves. I don't know whether it's the body awareness or just the engagement through the top to the bottom, but getting into the upper field, it's made a massive difference because it's easier.
It'll make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about the thumbs up and the thumbs down, and then I think I saw you at flight school once. You had the athlete on her knees, and she was reaching behind and then doing the same thing, but trying to tap the wall.
Yeah. Yes. You're on your knees. You have your feet against the wall. And you're up high on your knees, and all you do is just try to touch the wall and then come back. And then you can get better at it and go down as far as you want, So.
And so that would be the.
But
that would be the. So go on.
That's the memory handstand, like upright.
Yeah, and then that would be a prerequisite to. Would that be a prerequisite to then doing the levers?
Yes.
Yeah. So sort of like a starting point.
We're teaching an acro class at our dance studio that my girls worked at for many years, and just having so much fun. We're teaching front back walkovers, the levering and everything. They're getting them. They're looking good, aerials for aerials. But I'm just having so much fun because it's really all they want to work. They need to work on,
Yeah. I really like the levers. I just feel like it's made everything so much easier because once you take away the head, everything is so much stronger anyway. And so I feel like athletes get less scared and they're less prone to kind of the panic. It takes time, but I feel like they're less prone to panic when they do it. So it's made a massive difference to what we're doing. Definitely.
Yeah, I've seen huge difference in strength since I've been doing this. And I know it's new and it's different, but it works.
They are beautiful. And it kind of leads me into just one more thing they put here is, would you say overall that by transferring to a more lever-based approach, extension in the shoulders and the thoracic rather than the lower part, then it prevents excessive stress regardless? So I know we talked about the lower back, but are we prone to it on top as well?
Body. Yeah, absolutely. And doing that right leads into the next skill so easily,
Yeah, especially like with the back handspring.
Right.
Cool. I'm just making sure that I've covered everything because I don't want to be like.
Hello. Well, y'all can always text me. Anybody can text me or email me. I don't care. I'll answer. So.
Okay. I won't put your number on the chat, but I'll make sure that this bit stays in. So I think that's everything that I wanted to ask you about. But just as always, thank you. It's always really insightful being able to talk to you, and I know that I will watch this a few times over just to kind of digest it all and think about how else we can do things. So thank you very much. And I know that there'll be many people in the UK who will also watch this. So just thank you for your time and really appreciate it.
Oh, I really appreciate you having me, and you're wanting to do things right, believe me. A lot less problems with spondylolisthesis will happen. That's that pars fracture that happens of the lower back. That's the biggest issue that we have right now, is that's happening in young people all over the world. And it's because we've been irresponsible as coaches.
That's a bit of a mic drop finish, so I think maybe we'll finish there. So thank you again, Debbie. I'm going to press stop recording and then we can wrap up. Thank you
so much. I'll see you later.
Take care.
There we go.
So she's spotting her toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then she can come down.